and I'm scoring. Ayy, came from the bottom, that's foreign. I swear that I'm up for the sun in the morning. Oof, ayy, I gotta flex. I need a Nike bag, give me the check. I need the money and power, respect, but I promise I'm repping the O to the dead. Ayy, oof, I told them out of my way. I don't got nothing to say. Now they can't run at my pace. Yeah, they know that we ain't the same. 402, we rap the game. I told them this ain't a game.
No matter the circumstances, the records of each team, time of year or time of day, this is the game fans have marked on their calendars months in advance. Two hated rivals come center stage in the biggest rivalry matchup Nebraska has to offer. This is Westside Prep. Jaden Taylor alongside Brendan Preisman tonight, wanting to welcome you live at Westside High School. The hype surrounding this matchup could not be larger. Two top 5 teams in a hated rivalry, and this one is packed.
Yeah, it's packed to the rafters, really. And I mean, you know, the last time these two teams played each other in a matchup that really had some stakes, it was the 2020 state tournament right at the beginning of COVID. So not as big of an audience as you would have expected. And that game, Westside ended prep season. This game, much more of that playoff atmosphere, packed to the rafters on all sides. And not only is this rivalry a close rivalry with some high stakes, there's some animosity with it. Unlike in football, which has tended to be one-sided in recent years, these two teams have been competitive. They've split the last 3 years evenly, 3-3. They split their last 4 matchups coming into this. Prep has had a pretty good decade overall, leading the last 20 matchups 14-6, as you can see on the screen. First ever playoff matchup didn't happen until 2020. Incredible for such a long rivalry, marking its 70th year this year. But both of these teams are spectacular. Over the past decade, they've played 11 times in the regular season. 5 of those games have been decided by 4 or fewer. That playoff game was decided by 4 as well. So this game should be just as intense as the rest of them.
Yeah, those 20 recent matchups, like you mentioned, the average difference between those games, Prep has led the overall differential by just 3 points per game. So even though they have really blown out comparatively the recent matchups between these two teams, every single game has been close for the most part. And again, Prep had a 7-game winning streak coming to this from 2007 to 2013. Like I mentioned, just 4 points between those two matchups. These two groups are going to be huge. The last 4 matchups have been really big. One of the first time that we've seen back-to-back years where these teams had 2 different matchups in the same season. Last year, of course, Creighton Prep won both of them. First one in the Metro Conference, certainly a close back-and-forth matchup, then more of a lopsided matchup just about a month later in January. 2 years ago, man, this place was rocking just like it was here tonight. They had to lock the doors and have people in the hallways be able to watch that one. Westside put on a clinic in that one, 17 3-pointers, the most Westside has ever had in the history of their basketball program. Westside blew Creighton Prep out in that one. State tournament a little bit close, but I think definitely that was due to the atmosphere.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see a little bit of commonalities between the 2 games that were close and the 2 games that weren't. Both of the games that were decided by 4, those were 4-point games with high stakes. Prep won in the Metro tournament, Westside in the state tournament. And this isn't a tournament game, whether the Metro tournament or postseason, but man, oh man, does it have some stakes.
And I mean, you really talked about it. The seniors for these two teams are split 3-3 to both sides.
This is their last chance, maybe.
And one big senior that we're going to look at here tonight, 3-year varsity man, 4-year part of the program, Luke Jungers. Jungers has been the man all season long for this team, was kind of, I want to say, the number 2 top player behind maybe A.J. Rollins last year, but definitely had a big piece, and is coming back and has a really strong year, leading point scorer as well as leading blocker.
Yeah, he gets it all done on both offense and defense. He's top 15 in Class A in both field goal percentage and 3-point percentage. You can see his career stats there, 55% from 3, or 55% from the field, 45% from 3. He's up to those both this year somehow. Rebounding is up, points are way up, they have to be. He's the main man on this team now. and so far he's done great. He's had 9 or more points in every game, and on defense he's forced multiple turnovers in 8 games. He's the guy that Westside has to stop if they want to make sure they win this game.
A depth piece is going to be really important as we get into later here in the pregame show. But real quick, we're going to send it down to Tyler Reidy down at our sideline, talking a little bit more about Prep in this matchup and how they're looking towards this game.
Thank you, Jaden. Well, tonight, Prep will be relying on Luke Jungers for 2 things here. The first is his leadership. He's the longest tenured junior J. This is his 3rd year on varsity. He's played Westside 4 times, been in this building once, has a 2-2 record against the Warriors. He knows the in and outs of this rivalry. He knows how to handle the
Blank first. Go on 4. Go to 4 when we come back. When do we go back?
win. He had 22 points, a career high at the time against Millard North and Prep's signature win last season, but he kind of disappeared in the state tournament, only averaging 7 points per game and not hitting a single 3. Also, only 30% from the field, scoring only 9 points in Prep's Metro Conference tournament loss to Central. So if Jungers can step up and provide plenty of scoring consistently for the Junior Jays tonight, their chances to win will be greatly improved. Back to you, Jaden.
So with that, I mean, like what Tyler was mentioning here, I mean, a big piece of this game is how well Luke Jungers can bring that emphasis to this offense. On the other side of the ball, two really intangibly known players in Chandler Meeks and Reggie Thomas.
Yeah.
Reggie Thomas, man, this guy at only 6'1", is a guy that's just going to rumble through any guy he's going up against, whether it's 6'7" or 6'2". The guy's a rumbler, and that's really been the biggest piece. He's been so physical in the paint all 4 years here at Westside.
Yeah, he's a top 50 scorer in Class A right now, but that's not where he makes most of his mark. Leads the team in steals at 1.8 a game. That's top 20 in Class A. Also, as you mentioned, despite being 6'1", he's top 20 in Class A in blocks as well. He's had 11 games this year where he's forced multiple turnovers. He's a guy who Westside might have to stick on Martell Evans, Prep's superstar guard, and lock him down because he's the best defender Westside's got, in my opinion, and they're going to have to use his defense a lot.
And they're right beside him, the other four-year varsity man, Chandler Meeks. Meeks, another guy that is really not the biggest scorer every single night, but is a guy that has those intangibles like we mentioned, is really quick defensively, lockdown defender like no other. We've seen that more this year than anything else.
Yeah.
Talking to Chandler earlier this year, really his biggest presence to work on his defensive skills even more was making sure that his hips were working the best way possible, the most efficient he could possibly have them. And he has been a big piece defensively, forcing multiple steals, poking different balls away, and really just never allowing any guy he's going up against to be comfortable. That's been what he's wanted all season long. Versus Prep, however, not a big piece, 7 points per game, just over 7 points per game, 43% from the field, 1 steal, and 4 rebounds. Again, a guy that's been confident all 4 years here at Westside, and the leadership be big from these 3 players tonight.
Yep, and you mentioned Meeks being a great defender as well. Thomas has 11 games forcing multiple turnovers, as I mentioned. Meeks has 9, so both of those guys can really get it done on defense. And then Jungers as well. Like, the best part about all 3 of these guys is that, for the most part, they can do whatever their team asks of them, whether that's locking down an opposing scorer, getting a bucket, or just finding the open teammate. They can all do all of that, and that's why they're so important to these teams.
So take a quick look here now at Westside side. Jernstrom down to the sideline.
'70s, and the scene here tonight is what I have seen through the last 5 decades. I'll tell you what, it's a packed house, standing room only, and this game features 2 of the best guards in the state from Omaha Westside, Chandler Meeks and Reggie Thomas. Chandler Meeks stands 6'1", weighing 85, and so does Reggie Thomas. He's also 6'1", weighing 85. These 2 players play in the backcourt for Westside, and they are so critical to the #1 team's success this season. Meeks averages 10.3 points a game, and Thomas's averages 10.7 points a game, but they also go in and get rebounds. Meeks, 3.7 rebounds a game, and Thomas, 4.3 rebounds a game. But they're also the two quarterbacks of this Warrior basketball team. Meeks is 15th in the state in assists with 3.1 a game, and then Thomas is one of the great thieves on the court for Westside. He already has steals and averages almost 2 a game. But watch these two players in this game. They are critical to Westside's success in beating the Junior Jays. Thomas likes to push the ball up the court, and then Meeks, he's kind of the 4 leader for this Warrior basketball team, and he'll try to, find that open man under the basket. But they'll set the tempo for Westside against Creighton Prep. This will be the final time these two seniors will play Creighton Prep on their home court. And they talked about it earlier this week, and they said that's why this game is so special to us, because it's the final time they will play the Junior Jays on their home court. Guys, it's going to be a great game. It always is, between this rivalry between Prep and Westside. I'll send it back up to you upstairs.
Thanks for having me, Ross. It's been very good to be able to have both Ross Jernstrom as well as Tyler Reidy down on the sideline. We'll be cutting down to them all night long with some emphasis from both benches. So Brendan, we talked about some big pieces in this game. Let's talk about these two teams this season. Westside, one of the most prolific seasons we've seen from this group in maybe 25 plus years. They started off a little bit mixed, somewhat that we've seen the last 2 years, able to beat the bad teams and struggle up against the top 5. They took down Columbus to start off the year. They were then lost to at the time, number 2 ranked Miller North by 13. This team brings back a lot of depth from a year ago, a lot more experience. And then after that, they won 12 consecutive games. So far, that's the second longest in Nebraska. The only other longer one was 13 games from a Humphrey Class C2. Then the Metro Conference Tournament happened. I think this is where this team really showed that they could be the #1 team in Class A. Taking down Elkhorn South, then taking down Miller North in a revenge game, then winning it all up against Bellevue West. And I really think those 2 games, I think Westside played better up against Bellevue West than Miller North. Again, 3 group #1 teams are the group teams with 75% winning percentage or higher, and now they're the #1 team in the state.
As they should be, really. I mean, that Miller North game looked like a tough loss for Westside, especially given how well Miller North shot. 56% from the field, 40% from 3. Westside gave up, they gave up 80 points in that game. So I figure Miller North fans were thinking, oh, great, we can repeat. We just beat Westside, who was projected to be, one of the top teams in the state, and we beat them pretty handily. Then they play again in the Metro Holiday Tournament. Westside holds Miller North to 61, wins the fourth quarter 27-14, and shot 54% from the field themselves. So they've beaten every team they've played so far this year. And we're at a guess, if they can get past the Junior Jays, they'll continue doing that for a while longer.
And they really do have a tough schedule coming up in these next couple of weeks. 4 straight away games we'll see here in the next month and a half. But looking at the Prep side of things, this is a group that was a top 25 team in the nation last year. Don't have as many pieces here in 2021, but they're really looking to maybe get a big top 10 win here up against #1 Westside. Like we mentioned here, they only bring back 43.3 production this season. They started the season off with 3 really close games out of their first 4. Grand Island, Lincoln East, Millard West, all teams that are really in the bottom half of Class A and able to squeak by with a couple wins. Then they're blown out by Creighton. Now, Brendan, you were there for that one. It really did seem like everything was flipped for a team like this.
Yeah, I'd say the big thing was that they finally figured out what they needed to do as a team, because, last year you mentioned a top 25 team in the nation. Much like Westside this year, they had 6 or 7 guys who they could say, hey, go get a bucket, and those guys would be able to do that. This year, they don't have as many guys. They got maybe 3 or 4. So the coaching staff was like, all right, we'll just give it to those 2 or 3 guys. Luke Jungers and Martell Evans both averaging well over double figures. Martell set a career high against Omaha Central in that Metro tournament loss with 22. Basically single-handedly kept the Jays in it. And Jungers, as I mentioned earlier, has 9 points or more in every game so far. So it's been really a two-man game for Prep most of the year, but it's been working to great effect, and that's why they're a top 5-6 team in Class A right now.
And coming into this week, like you mentioned, Westside still at the #1 slot. Millard North at the 2. We'll get more of them from this week. They took down #4 Central on Tuesday in a big win. Bellevue West at the 3, like you mentioned. Central at the 4. Creighton Prep at the 5. They've been really bouncing around from about 4 to about 7 so far this season, the NAB Prep's coaches poll. Lincoln Northeast, the one who won the Heartland Athletic Conference tournament, who has had so much skepticism to where, are they really playing the best teams to be a top 10 team, are working their way up in the top teams in Class A. Gretna, of course, after some back and forth games, I think probably one of the most inconsistent teams in the top 10 right now is Gretna. Lincoln Southwest at 8, Elkhorn South at 9, Papio South at 10. I think Papio South, biggest reason they're even in the top 10 right now is how close and how well they played against Omaha Central this season.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I mean, you can clearly see it's really similar to last year where there's a lot of good teams in the top 10, but when you really look at who can win the title, it's down to 3 or 4. And right now, it's basically the same 4 that there were last year. Millard North and Bell West aren't going away despite losing Hunter Salas and Chucky Hepburn to Division I basketball. Omaha Central's back. They had that win over Prep in the Metro Holiday Tournament. And then did they play Westside at all, or is that coming later?
Omaha Central. So Omaha Central, the Warriors be going up against Omaha Central at home. 2 top 10 matchups, hopefully for that night, if the Warriors can work up there with the girls on February 11th. Excuse me.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see how far Central's come, because I think that they can win the title this year just as easily as some of the other teams. And then obviously Westside's the favorite right now.
And then coming into this week, right, both teams trying to keep pushing forward. Westside still on that momentum. Now a 13-game winning streak after a blowout loss to Brilliant La Vista. Brilliant La Vista, 14 turnovers in this one to Westside's only 3. Westside had 5 different players in double figures in this one. 3 of them came off the bench.
Yeah, and I mean, when you shoot 65% from the field, that's basically 2 of every 3 shots are going to go in for you. I mean, if they didn't win that game by 40, I'd say you'd probably have to fold the team because they put on a shooting exhibition against the Monarchs.
Looking at the Prep side, once again, a pretty big blowout win up against Bellevue East, but the first half was definitely a different story, and third quarter flipped everything.
Yeah, third quarter, Prep won 26-6. They ended up forcing 21 turnovers from the Chieftains. I'd say the big difference in that game is the same as it's been for Prep in a lot of their games against lesser competition, and that normally they come out slow. They're kind of just like testing the waters, and then after halftime, that's when they really start to blow the game open.
So looking at the comparison between these 2 teams tonight, Westside definitely has the bigger depth, has the bigger scoring percentage here. But Creighton Prep really needs in this one to slow the tempo down.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. They've certainly got some scores, but they play at their best when the tempo is slowed down. They're giving up less than 50 points a game, one of the top defenses in the Metro. And another key for them, I think, is going to be to force turnovers. Westside's very good at taking care of the ball for how fast-paced they are. 8.2 turnovers a game. Prep's going to have to force a lot more than that to win.
Just about a minute away from tip. We'll send it down to the public dress announcer and get this one underway.
By students, athletes, coaches, and spectators. We request your cooperation by supporting the participants and officials in a positive manner. Profanity, athletes, sexist, or other intimidating comments or actions directed at officials, students, athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated at our grounds for removal from our facility. We thank you for your cooperation and good luck to both teams. At this time, we'd ask you to please stand for group cover as the Westside High School Band, under the direction of Tom Gerber and Pete Schoening, plays our national anthem.
Let's get ready to play basketball here at Westside High School. The game of the night in Omaha, Nebraska. Logan Wilson and Luke Jungers will start the tip. And this one is packed to the brim. Westside High School locked in for the night. Nobody's coming in. Wilson wins the tip, and this one is underway.
Prep's going to want to make sure they limit the crowd noise. This gym is pretty small, and that helps Westside a lot with the crowd noise. Prep's got to get a bucket early to get some momentum on their side.
Joey Reischel trying to work on Reggie Thomas. He'll give it off to PJ Newble. Once again, the aggressive defense and high tempo is going to be the thing to see here tonight. Newble able to work around and able to finish at the glass.
Good shot there by PJ Newble. Drove right past Chandler Meeks. That's a rare mistake from him. You're not going to see that often.
Westside does have a tendency to start off slow in first quarters.
Oh.
We'll see a foul there. Casey O'Malley with his first of the night. His foul, Pacey Gillespie.
And that's not a foul you want to have early from Casey. Working his way back from an ankle injury he suffered early in the year, first game of the year, Grand Island game. But he could be a big scoring piece for this Junior Jays team. He just needs to stay on the court.
So in such a big atmosphere like this, I know it's a mid-season game, there's so much more to go through both these teams. There going to be any nerves here tonight?
Oh, I'd assume so. This feels almost exactly like a playoff game. You can hear the crowd from here.
Tate Advati able to body up and get his first 2 points of the night.
Westside's leading scorer, 16th in Class A. He's going to be doing a lot of that tonight.
Luke Jungers able to get the and one. Foul will go on Chandler Meeks, and Jungers will go to the line.
What a shot from Luke Jungers. He's pretty proficient with the and one, shooting 76% from the line this year. And that is one thing that Prep wants to establish early. Almost 17 points a game for Jungers. He might need to better that tonight to get the Junior Jays the win.
Jungers makes the free throw. So far this season, Jungers been one of the best free throw shooters for this team, like you mentioned. Just hitting at 78% on the year. Tate Advati answers back with 3 points of his own.
Well, Tate Advati, another one of those great scorers in this game. He's at 16 points a game, and he can shoot from anywhere on the court. Prep's going to have to make sure they know where 13 is at all times.
Newbill doesn't want the three. Mid-range jumper is short to go off the front iron. Westside going to work it quick back the other way. One of the keys to the game we want to talk about here tonight is really the tempo in this one. Can Prep win the marathon with so many different Westside players able to make plays, as Chandler Meeks right there able to get on the board?
Yeah, I just don't know, because this is Westside starters. A lot of their best shooters come off the bench. Like they've got guys like Caleb Benning, CJ Mitchell. Those are guys who could make a team's life miserable, and they haven't even stepped on the court yet. Westside's already winning. So I'd say that Prep has to make sure they pace themselves well, but you also don't want to make sure you don't get too far behind early, because then you're really in trouble.
Meeks trying to work on Newbill to give it off to Advati. See how Westside can work around the perimeter. Meeks driving in, two-step, and it's tipped out of bounds. Newbill able to get a hand on it.
That was a solid play by Newbill, but you can see that Meeks at 6'1" has an inch or so on PJ Newbill, and he's going to try and use that advantage to drive to the hole early. Oh, nice pass.
Westside going to work it around. Reggie Thomas, little floater, not able to fall, trying to get the rebound. He won't. Newbill will be able to get the board.
That was lucky for Prep, because Westside had Logan Wilson pretty open in the paint. Just fortunate for Prep that he didn't turn around and try and shoot.
Jungers trying to body up on Logan Wilson, able to get the floater to go. And Jungers
5 straight for
hot.
him. Yeah, he is definitely the key for both teams. If he's got a big game, Prep's going to win, but if Westside can shut him down, the Warriors will probably take their 13th straight victory.
Advati in the corner pacing. Gillespie doesn't want the three. Going to work baseline. Wide open lane. Able to fall with his left hand. And Westside able to take the 2-point lead. These two teams going back and forth here in the first quarter.
Yeah, a lot of driving early. Both these teams great perimeter shooters, but you can see Newbill driving there again.
Long
Both teams.
pass. Advati going to work on Martell Evans. Reverse layup able to fall. Advati with a quick 7 points.
Wow, this is just incredible. Westside's especially Advadi, really just imposing his will in the paint. As many points as the entire Prep team right now.
Martell Evans loses it. It's going to go back the other way.
And Evans has hit a rough patch this year. He started off the year with 10 games straight in double figures. Since those 2 games, he had 1 game with 7 and 1 game with 1. He's going to need to get back on track tonight the way this game is going, or Prep's not going to win.
One thing I want to mention here to start off as we're just about the 4-minute mark, Prep's really worked really quickly the tempo so far. I got it talking to Coach Lukey before this. That was the exact opposite plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and they wanted to try and run the marathon. Westside right now, though, they're just making them run the sprint really well.
Jungers pulls up from the right wing. These 2 teams throwing punches to start off this one.
8 for Jungers already. The leading scorers have come out to play. 8 for Jungers, 7 for Oddbody.
Make it 9.
Make it 9.
The atmosphere, I really could say, is nowhere better than here tonight. Maybe anywhere better in the state of Nebraska.
This feels like a state championship game, if I'm being completely honest. It's loud, and it is packed.
Jungers step back 3. That one rings out. Oddbody able to get the board. Meeks, first round spin move in the corner. Thomas doesn't want the 3, couldn't get Newbill to move. He'll drive in and find it off the glass. And Reggie Thomas fired up after that one. He's got 4.
Westside's challenging the paint, and right now they're winning most of those battles. Luke Jungers is 6'8", but they're still getting quite a lot of those shots to fall over him.
Jungers going to work on Logan Wilson for the majority of the night. Wilson able to get the tip. Meeks going to get the steal, fast break the other end. He's blocked. Ball still working around, and it looks like Chandler Meeks going to get called with a foul.
That was a good recovery there by, I think it was Casey O'Malley. Looked like he might have tipped the ball out of Meeks' hands, preventing the fast break bucket.
And here's that 5-minute split. 4 guys come out, 4 guys come in. Number 3, Charlie Davis, you see near side of your screen, as well as C.J. Mitchell, Caleb Benning, and Kevin Stubblefield, number 2 and number 23 respectively. And that's the depth in this one. Prep, I think, really has 5, maybe 6 guys they feel comfortable with all game long.
Yeah.
Here tonight, Westside has 9.
Yeah, I could see Prep maybe trying to run an 8 or 9 man rotation, but as you said, yeah, there's only about 6 or 7 of those guys who they really want with the ball at any given time. Oh, what a shot!
Jungers once again is able to get that one to fall, and he has been working
He's got
all sorts
10
of ways
already.
Tonight. Charlie Davis from the corner 3.
3 for number 3, and that is exactly the opposite of what Prep wanted. Thought they had some momentum, and then a 3 and a turnover. This could get ugly fast if Westside's able to score here.
Benning able to reach in and grab that one. He'll be fouled. Charlie Davis, you just saw it, 3 from the corner, 47% from beyond the arc, had 15 points in their first win up against Benson in early December. And it really has been many different guys off the bench that have had big moments. We've seen some from C.J. Mitchell. Mitchell, who you're seeing get an inbound here, had 29 points in the Metro Conference Tournament quarterfinals and semifinals up against Elkhorn South and Miller North. Then you got another night where Caleb Benning had 8 2 nights ago. So many guys able to make plays. Oddbody goes up and he'll be fouled. And that'll be Martell Evans' first.
No, I think that one's his second, I believe, because he fouled on the fast break as well. So first free throws of the night for Westside. And yeah, you know the fun thing you mentioned? So Benning and Davis are both incredible shooters. Benning shooting 60% from the field, Davis 47% from 3. Neither of them lead the team in those categories. It's ridiculous.
See a switch here for Creighton Prep. Emmett Knight will come into the ballgame for Martell Evans. You were correct, 2 fouls on Evans.
And Emmett Knight's a guy we haven't really seen a lot of, only 8 appearances. I wonder if Prep's trying to put him in for the defensive angle because he has been known to be a very tough defender.
Oddbody makes both, 89% on this season from the charity strike. At one point last year, up until the district semifinals, Tate Oddbody was 34 for 34 from the charity strike.
Wow.
One of the most prolific guys. And of course in that one, guess who ends up really jinxing him to be able to make 2 more?
Was it you?
Of course me.
Oh, man. Yeah, I've had plenty of announcer jinxes in my time. More football, though, than basketball, though, which is odd because I talk a lot more for basketball.
Knight's going to drive in, pick it back at the corner. Casey O'Malley doesn't want the three. Trying to work out around, find a lane. The little floater does not go in.
Good effort there by O'Malley, but he's got to make sure to attack the hoop and at the very least draw a foul there.
Stubblefield working quick and working out Thomas. Now C.J. Mitchell. And Westside now back to Stubblefield. Reggie Thomas, open three from the right wing. Reggie Thomas, another triple for him tonight.
Oh, you can't leave him that wide open. He converts at actually a 19% rate. He's one of those guys that Prep actually wants to leave open. That's a shot they can live with. But if he's knocking those down, then that's real trouble for the Junior Jays.
Thomas has been uncharacteristically, just like you mentioned, not as much of a presence from beyond the arc this season. Was really an average guy last year, but this year just hasn't been able to find the stroke when he needs to. But he's really made up for it with his physical presence in the paint.
Yeah, he's shooting incredibly inside the arc. It's when he gets outside that things start to get fuzzy.
C.J. Mitchell from the corner, that one short. Ball still rumbling around. Looks like Charlie Davis able to get to it. Still going off. Thomas gets it in off the glass. What a move for Reggie Thomas with the quick two.
I thought you said that Westside started slowly. That is not what I'm seeing here.
Eddie Hubner able to answer back. And that will end the first quarter. Man, that was a quick one. 8 minutes in the book. Westside 27, Creighton Prep 14. We'll take a quick break here on WTV Live once we come back for a second quarter action. Second quarter action here at Westside High School. The Warriors lead the Junior Jays by 13. It's been a fast-paced one. Westside will switch out a couple guys. Logan Wilson and Payson Gillespie will come in as Caleb Benning came out.
And that depth is going to be huge for them because if Prep only sticks to this 6-7 man rotation that they've shown so far through the first quarter, by the time that fourth quarter comes around, their legs are probably going to be a little low on fuel, and that could just be, you know, a free ride for Westside to just start pushing the pace as much as they want.
Gillespie doesn't want the three. He'll drive in. That one no good, but able to get the rebound and the tip there from Logan Wilson. C.J. Mitchell, open left lane. He doesn't want it. Open three, top of the key. Logan Wilson is good. Wilson from the lone triple. He's got his first points of the night, and Westside continues.
That's the center for Westside, folks. Yep, he can make threes too. Who can? I don't know.
Eddie Hubner once again able to add back and forth. Payson Gillespie back the other way. Big block from Luke Junger. Second chance attempt from Tate Oddbody.
Oddbody has just had an incredible first half. Prep can't stop him.
Call a foul there on Logan Wilson. Neither team too close to the bonus or near bonus, about halfway. Westside with 4 fouls now, Creighton Prep with 3. And we'll see Emmett Knight go to the line. Knight this season just 2 for 4 from the charity strike, and he misses the first.
And right now, yeah, Westside's beating Prep in things like shooting and fast breaks, but they're also beating them in the little hustle plays. They're making their free throws. They're getting offensive rebounds. They're getting the loose ball first. Prep's really got to do that if they want any hope of winning this game.
Like we mentioned, the intangibles, big plays need to be made, and really the small plays do too if you really want to beat a team like Westside. Right wing three, Reggie Thomas, it swirls in. He's got number 3 and he's got 12 on the night.
Unstoppable. Westside can beat you with basically anyone on their team, and right now they're just pulling out all the stops. You said both teams are throwing punches. Westside's throwing haymakers right now, my friend.
In the corner, Hubner travels, and first, really haven't seen a lot of turnovers like that, just mental mistakes. I think Prep might be a little bit wavered by the big atmosphere we had here tonight, especially with a really inexperienced team.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly possible. It's just been troublesome for them to get things going right now.
CJ Mitchell, the speed shows off and able to get it off the right hand, and Coach Lukey wants a timeout.
I do not blame him.
Mitchell with a quick 2 points. We'll take a quick break here on WTV Live. Westside continues to roll. They're up by 19. A 10-2 run for the Warriors here in the second quarter. 19-point lead, largest of the night. And the Junior Jays, in such a big rivalry game, need to get something going very quickly, or this one might get ugly.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, we saw the rankings earlier. Prep's a top 5 team. Oh!
Exactly what the Junior Jays needed out of the timeout. Eddie Huber, that was 6 points, trying to make it 7.
That's a new career high for him already in just the first 2 quarters. A guy who's played fairly sparingly for Prep. This is only the 8th game he's appeared in. He was injured in December, but he has really been the only Prep player right now, aside from Jungers, to show no fear of the Warriors, and that's why he's got 6.
Unable to finish the and one. Westside.
Yeah, you would like to make that free throw, though. Every point counts when you're down this big, this early.
Pacing Gillespie, pull up 3, that one's short.
All right, now Prep's got a chance to slow things down and play the game their way.
I think that's really the way the atmosphere is moving right now as well. A little bit of a died-down crowd as P.J. Newble drives in, and there'll be a foul on the rebound. Joey Reischel, I believe, will go to the line. They will call it on the shot. Reggie Thomas there with his first foul.
And you could see the frustration on Thomas's face. He did not agree with that call at all. But it's been that kind of night for Westside that when they don't get a fast break, it's a cause for frustration because they've really been doing a great job at controlling this game in every facet.
The referees decided to call it on the floor. Long 3 is no good for Eddie Huber. Pacing Gillespie almost loses it, and they'll call a travel on him. A little bit of a sloppy second half to start off with after a big explosive first and opening about a minute and a half. I think after the timeout, Lukey has really gotten back to where he wants to be, having a slower paced game.
Yeah, they haven't scored since they came back from that timeout. Clearly, Lukey knew what he was doing with that. Oh, there we go.
3 from Joey Reischel at the right wing. This is the time as ever if Prep wants to get back into it.
You talked about him in pregame as one of the good shooters for Prep. He's shooting 42% from 3 on the year. That's his first of the night. Going to need many more from him to get back in this game.
Wilson trying to body up on Jungers. They'll call a charge.
That's 2 on Wilson.
We'll see a couple switches. Kevin Stubblefield will come in as well as Caleb Betting. And we'll see Wilson as well as Payson Gillespie come out.
Not necessarily foul trouble, but at least foul worry for a couple guys. Chandler Meeks and Logan Wilson both have 2, and Martell Evans for Prep has 2 as well. That could be big if this game is still close in the fourth quarter.
That was a big thing 2 years ago, really more last year for Chandler Meeks, is that a guy so aggressive defensively, got into foul trouble a lot, and Many times it would be ticky-tack fouls, but it was really how could they get him out of foul trouble in big games.
Yeah.
Big block there from behind. Reggie Thomas back on the other end. How did that one go in? Off his right hand, then floated up off his left, rung around and fell.
He's got 14. This is incredible output from Reggie Thomas. His season high is 19. He's already almost there, and we still got half of the second quarter to go.
Aaron pass there. Caleb Benning working a fast break coast to coast, and unable to get the and one, but they'll call a foul. And they'll call that one on Eddie Hubner, excuse me.
You know what I really like so far from the Warriors? The balance of their offense. If you count these free throws as shots, they've had 7 different guys take a shot already in this game compared to Prep, who's had just 5. So they're doing a really good job sharing the ball, and on a team this deep, that's a big reason why they're up 19.
Caleb Benning goes 1 for 2 at the line. Benning is really more known for his presence on the football field, an all-super state sophomore this past year at the safety position.
He's a sophomore?
He is a sophomore.
Oh,
this
no.
Team, you want to talk about a sophomore class that is no other. Last year's freshman class, football undefeated. Basketball only had 1 loss on the season for freshmen. This team was deep. C.J. Mitchell, Kevin Stubblefield, as well as Caleb Benning, all guys that were on the varsity squad.
Jeez.
So a lot of guys even coming up in this group.
Well, I'm glad I don't have to watch the next Prep Westside game for football because I'm worried it might be about as lopsided as the last couple. Man.
I hope we keep that word.
I hope I just jinxed Westside, to be perfectly honest. I'd like to see Junior Jays win. They haven't beaten Westside in football since I was an 8th grader. I'm going off to college next year.
5 straight for Westside in football. Been a lot of different conversations in football lately.
It does involve Westside, though. I think it was Pospisil earlier I saw on Twitter called it dueling press releases. That's how it's going right now in Class A football. No football to be played, but definitely still a battle between Westside and Gretna right now.
Joey Rieschel able to get the steal after being
pass.
at the line. Beautiful pass and beautiful cut from P.J. Newble. He's got 4.
That's what they need is that extra passing, yeah. Newbill with 4. Prep
Open 3
finally
from Kevin
starting to
Stubblefield,
cut
rings
into
out.
Prep finally starting to cut into this deficit a little bit, and they're doing it with the unselfishness and the quick shots like that. It didn't go in though. Never mind.
Not a high percentage shot there from Luke Jungers, but definitely a guy could make one of those. Reggie Thomas looking to go coast to coast. He'll get fouled. And Reggie Thomas laughing a little bit after that one. I think that's one of the biggest keys to Reggie Thomas's game. Again, he's not, the biggest guy from beyond the arc, but even at his comparative short stature to a lot of different forwards in Nebraska, he is a guy that is just overly willing to drive in and force fouls and figure a way to get points.
Yeah, he's gone straight at Luke Jungers multiple times already this game. He has shown no fear of anyone on Prep at all.
Thomas this season, only 40% from the charity strike as he misses the first. Thomas goes 1 of 2 from the line. Prep currently is in the bonus for the rest of the first half, as Westside does have 8 fouls. 3 from the corner. Rieschel, no good. Second chance attempt. Newble went high flying up for that one, couldn't get it. And Westside trying to work quick. Advati, mismatch, wide open 3 is good. St. Advati from beyond the arc, 16 points, and there another turnover. Thomas trying to drive in, another wide open 3. Charlie Davis, no good. Jungers will get the board, and once again, its momentum turns towards the Warriors. Prep's gonna take a timeout. We'll take a break here on WTV Live. Once we come back, Westside trying to add on to their lead. Back here at Westside High School for a quick recap recap of this one, send it down to Tyler Reidy.
First quarter, hasn't been able to come back in, and it's really hurt the Junior Jays' ability to get to the basket and make their free throws. Evans, their best driver and one of their best free throw shooters. Prep will have to try and get him back in there as soon as they can. Back to you.
Luke Dean still talking a little bit with the near side ref on the corner of your screen. Not quite sure what they're discussing here. The Westside now will work the full court press. It's Creighton Prep once again just trying to inch their way back, but it looks like we said, two teams that are throwing punches. Westside has really been the one that's been throwing more haymakers.
And the big reason for that is they're making three-pointers right now. Just like looking at the scorebook I've been keeping right now, they've hit 6 threes from 4 different players. Prep has hit just 2 from 2 different guys. And threes, especially in a gym as cramped and as packed as this, can be huge energy plays. Westside's had a lot more of them than Prep.
Prep able to get a long rebound, long three from Newell, unable to get it. Ball still working around Prep with back-to-back rebounds.
You got to capitalize on this possession if you're the Jays. You've gotten 2 offensive rebounds. You might as well get some points out of it.
Long pass, Luke Jungers will get fouled. And he'll go to the line.
That's 2 on Reggie Thomas now for the Warriors as well. Foul trouble could potentially become a problem.
Apologies with some of our clock situation back tonight, back correctly at 2:10. As Jungers hits the first.
Had a hot start, Jungers did, but he's cooled down a little bit since then. Had 10 in the opening quarter, now 11 in the first half. I mentioned in pregame he might need to get well above his season average of 17 for Prep to be in this game. He's on pace to break that average and get fairly close to a season high, but it hasn't mattered at all right now.
Makes 1 of 2. Westside maybe slowing it down a little bit here with just about 2 minutes left to go here in the first half. Stubblefield is blocked. They go out of bounds. Who they call it off on? It'll be off of Ebby Hubner. And Westside will retain possession.
You got to catch that ball if you're Prep.
Beautiful pass. And unable to fall. Tate Advati will go to the line. Man, I think just about the entirety of Westside student section might have went ballistic if that one was able to go through.
Honestly, I'm kind of glad it didn't go in, not just because I'm a Prep fan, but also because I like my eardrums. I don't need that Westside crowd to get and 1 level loud after how loud this gym has been all day.
Like we mentioned earlier, this building's currently closed off to anybody that wants to get back in, so if you're going to get concessions, I might come back pretty soon, as this place is at capacity for the biggest rivalry game in the state of Nebraska. Advati goes 2 for 2 at the line. Westside now at a 20-point lead, and we'll see a foul here on Kevin Stubblefield. And Jim Simon's not happy with that call. And the near line, or the near referee on your near side of your screen, I think, has been going back and forth between both the coaches here tonight. I'm not sure if it's just been a couple of ticky-tack calls, not quite like it, but a lot of misconceptions.
And I mean, the emotion of this game, it's going to spill over at some point, whether that's the coaches, the officials, whoever it is. I mean, there's definitely a guarantee that things could get chippy later.
Newell makes the first. And he'll hit the second. Gonna have to have a lot to happen for the Junior Jays to come back in this one. We got a lot of time left on the clock to be able to do so. Only one of Westside's starters currently on the floor. CJ Mitchell blocked from behind. Newell just touches the baseline, trying to get that one back out, so it'll stay to the Warriors.
Prep's really got to take advantage of these loose balls. It feels like Westside's had 5 extra possessions just off of tipped rebounds going off of Prep.
Benning working baseline. Give it hard cut there from Tate Advati trying to get on, and that one's going to fall. Tate Advati, another 2 points, been so dominant here tonight. Once again, Westside's leading scorer.
Yeah, I mean, quarter by quarter, his scoring's just incredible. He's already got 9 in this quarter, and Prep just hasn't been able to stop him at all.
Junger's going to be fouled. Once again, Simon's not happy with that call. He'll give it the foul on C.J. Mitchell, trying to work some help for Kevin Stubblefield. Stubblefield trying to grab his eye a little bit. Might have gotten an elbow to the face on that one. And once again, Junger is going to go to the line.
These are shots that Prep's got to hit. Get a chance to up your point total with the clock stopped. You might as well take advantage of it.
Largest lead of the night has been 22. And once again, Jungers goes 1 for 2 from the line. He looks frustrated after that missed shot. Advati, a little bit of a mix up there with Kevin Stubblefield. Westside working around the perimeter. C.J. Mitchell, right wing. Stops his feet, trying to find some kind of cut. Under 40 seconds left to go here in this first half.
I think Westside might try and hold for the last shot. They want to get as much momentum as possible heading into the halftime break.
For a team that works so quick, it's an odd possibility. It definitely could be one. C.J. Mitchell dancing around. That one can go, but Mitchell will go to the line with 23 seconds left.
And Mitchell's a guy who, as a sophomore, has really been a revelation for this team. He was on varsity as a freshman last year, never scored over 6 in a game. He's already done that 10 times last year. He's a guy that could definitely take over the program when guys like Reggie Thomas and Chandler Meeks graduate.
The biggest outline for next year, of course, you bring back Tate Advati, Mitchell, Benning, as well as Stubblefield. As Mitchell goes 2 for 2 from the line there. Prep looking for one final big shot before the end of the half. Trying to find some kind of momentum in a Westside filled first half. Sidestep three-pointer, no good. Westside's now getting an opportunity. 5 seconds left to go. Benning trying to work coast to coast.
Looked like Newbill might have fouled him.
And 1 and 1 for Caleb Benning.
Benning misses the first of the 1 and 1. One final heave. And that one's no good. Westside will go to the break up by 21. Tate Advati, the leading scorer tonight with 20 points for the Warriors. Right behind him, 15 from Reggie Thomas. And it's been all Westside to start in the first 16 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say. This has just been domination on both sides of the ball from the Warriors. You can see a little bit of the anger and disgust on the Prep team's faces, and really they just haven't been able to stop 2 guys. Other than Thomas and Advati, Westside's only scored 15 points in this quarter, or in the half, and you know, about 5 of them were off free throws. So if Prep is just able to figure out a way to stop those guys, they can get back into this game easily. But that's a tall order with how Advati and Thomas are playing so far.
So we'll take a quick break here on WTV Live, but we'll leave it to some halftime festivities, the Westside dance team. And once we come back, more Warrior action.
driver. We want you to buckle up, slow down, and please no texting while driving. Our family cares about your family, and your safety is our #1 priority. At Dingman's, we'd rather be the best than apologize for anything less. Visit us at one of our 4 convenient locations or dingmans.com. It's a big moment with a lot of emotions when you hand the keys over to a new driver. We want you to buckle up, slow down, and please no texting while driving. Our family cares about your family, and your safety is our #1 priority. At Dingman's, we'd rather be the best than apologize for anything less. Visit us at one of our 4.
We're back here at Westside High School. Westside about to start off in the third quarter, up by 21 in this one. Real quick, going to send it down to Ross Jernstrom.
Coach Jim Simons told me just as he left the court that he was very pleased with how well his team had played in the first half. Very hard, but he was concerned about the fouls. They stopped the clock, and Creighton Prep was 7 of 12 from the charity stripe, so he doesn't want the Warriors to foul. Here's to you guys.
So Martell Evans will start off the third quarter, and the Junior Jays are going to have to work way back in this one, and not a way to start it off. Chandler Meeks able to get the tip and the steal in the lane at the other end. And Chandler Meeks, 4 points here tonight.
You know what's crazy about that first half? Chandler Meeks and Payson Gillespie, two guys who combined averaged 20 points a game, had 4 points in the first half.
Reggie Thomas coast to coast on that one. He has 17 here tonight. Thomas and Adbadi have just taken over, especially off the glass.
Yeah, that's really not the way you want to start a second half, don't you think, Jaden?
Especially for a group like this when you need such a big comeback. The Junior Jays will have to have everything go right.
Especially when the crowd's been against you all game. And oh man, this is getting tough to watch. At this rate, Westside might be able to go 12 or 13 deep. I mean, when you already have to call a timeout a minute into the third quarter, you know, after you've had 10 minutes to talk it over with your team and be like, hey guys, this is what we're doing wrong, this is what we need to fix, and then your team immediately goes out there and commits 3 straight turnovers, that's, oh man, this is not good for Prep right now.
So before we get back to the third quarter, take a quick look now at our Duncan trivia question of the game. Somewhat of a bonus question. There was a time when Westside and Prep varsity basketball actually would play out a neutral site over 20 years ago. Name that location, get a bonus on top of it. What year did it go back to being at both the high schools?
Oh, I don't know that one.
We'll give it to anybody online. Hashtag Duncan Trivia on Twitter, or a comment on the most recent Westside Wire tweet. And the first correct answer will get you a $10 gift card to any Dunkin' Donuts in the Omaha metro and Nebraska area. If you get both right, we got a special enticement for you. We're not going to give it to you quite yet, but if you get both and you're the first, you get a pretty good prize for you, especially after such a big game here tonight. Junior Jays, like you mentioned, have to have everything go right to even have a chance in this one. Westside's been pumping on all cylinders. And a lot of Tate Adbadi and a lot of Reggie Thomas. Thomas already just a point away from eclipsing his season high of 17. Meeks trying to work on Newbill. Going to give it off to Thomas. Thomas, 2 steps, going to give it off to Adbadi.
What a
Adbadi,
move.
step back jumper, second chance, and one! Reggie Thomas goes up and puts the second chance opportunity through, and it is all Westside right now.
They won't stop. Jaden, they won't stop scoring. Do they ever stop?
Not usually.
Oh no.
It's been a lot of fun second half. That here. Rebound there on the missed free throw. Reggie Thomas now a mismatch. Open 3 in the corner. That one's good.
goodness gracious, Westside is pouring it on.
That was odd body.
And a three in answer back on the other end from Joey Rischel.
Was it odd body who hit the three?
It was Oddbody who hit another three.
Man.
I'm correct. That's 19 tonight.
I've got 23 for him.
23. Oh, yeah, my bad. Missed the three. Jumper missed there from Chandler Meeks. Wide open opportunity at the other end. Newbill.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Oh my Lord! Put the hammer down, Reggie flipping Thomas.
It might be time to go home. That was nasty. Holy cow, PJ Newbill drove through the contact, thought he might have had a layup. Reggie Thomas came in and wiped it off the backboard with his offhand, and then an outlet pass too. Man, oh man, what can't this guy do?
Meeks gets fouled. It's Prep's second foul here in the second half. And that is on PJ Newbill. It's his second of the night.
And that's two quick ones to open the second half. Martell Evans got two to open the first. Now it's Newbill with two to open the second.
They'll call a travel there on Chandler Meeks. A little bit surprising call there from both the faces of Simons and Meeks. This one definitely not entirely out of reach, but 27 points will be the
especially
biggest comeback.
with how inconsistent Prep's offense has been, too.
Exactly. 27 points will be the biggest comeback in the history of this rivalry. But there's an over and under. And nothing's going right for the Junior Jays right now.
I mean, you know, you'd figure after halftime you'd get some nice adjustments, come out, you know, get back to the basics, get back to fundamentals, start running an offense again. Instead, it's 9-3 Westside over an 2.5 minute stretch, and Prep's committed more turnovers than they've scored points by a wide margin.
Luthi on the benches, rummaging into PJ Newbill. We saw it posted a couple days ago, from 2 years ago, when the 17 three-point game of 31 points from Jaden Booth. A little bit of a picture of Luthi's broken marker board, and I think tonight you got to have that much frustration.
Yeah, Reggie Thomas now with 21. Might be on career high watch. His career high is 23.
Prep able to answer back with the three. 4:43 left to go here at Westside High School. Going to take a quick break here on WTV Live. Westside continue to pull it on. What a night. Looking for a career high night. And to make it maybe even more, like you mentioned, Brendan, Reggie Thomas in the third quarter has as many points as Creighton Prep does in total.
Yep. And both of those points are off Joey Rischel, who is nearing a season high with 11 already. 17's his career high, but man, oh man, Reggie Thomas has just been slicing and dicing his way through the Prep defense all night. Oh man, he was about to bring the house down if he could dunk that.
Thomas trying to have a big dunk there, almost lost it. High flip off the glass from Martell Evans. It'll go out of bounds, and it'll go with the Warriors.
And that's really the exact opposite of how you want a fast break to go for the Junior Jays. Normally you want Evans attacking the hoop, and it's a good shot from him, and then Jungers had a shot at the rebound, just glanced off his hands and out of bounds. And another chance for Westside to add to their lead, which is nearing 30 points at an alarmingly quick rate.
Once again,
no.
Prep in mixed-up territory.
He missed.
Long three's no good
He
for
missed.
Reggie Thomas. And like you mentioned, Reggie Thomas has not missed much tonight, excuse me.
First miss of the half. Prep's got to get something going here quick. And maybe at this point you're not really trying for the win. You're just trying to figure out what works so you don't have to get kicked in the mouth like this ever again, because this has really been an exposure of Prep is not ready for the bright lights. They're not quite ready to go to Lincoln and win the state title yet. Maybe they will be, but if this game shows me anything, it's that Westside should be the prohibitive favorite until further notice, and I wouldn't be surprised if they got
Logan Wilson, 6 points on 2 threes. And I don't know if this is something that I was really expecting tonight. We're nearing possible territory of a running clock.
Yeah. I mean, back to what I was saying earlier, I would not at all be shocked if Westside brought home their first boys basketball championship since 1980. This team has the talent, they've got the depth, and they've got the will to do it. This is not a team I would like to see in Lincoln come March or April.
Wow. Jalen Meeks. Man, just about nobody in front of him to go through for that one. Meeks has 6 tonight. He's Westside's second leading scorer and only has 6 points.
No, what about Tate Advadi?
Advadi's first.
What about Thomas? Thomas has like 20-some. I think Meeks is third, yeah.
Yeah, Meeks.
Yeah. And that's a 30-point game now. Oh, a bucket. That's Casey O'Malley finally getting on the board. That's his first bucket of the night. And that makes it now a 16-8 third quarter for Westside so far. Oh.
I see a hard foul. Joey Reischel fell to the floor quickly after Tate Advadi was trying to drive through.
Reischel is third, and team third. In for the Warriors.
That's 3 on Joey Reischel, and that's foul trouble for a guy who's really been one of the only consistent sources of offense for Prep all night. Makes a fairly bleak situation even bleaker.
See another couple switches here for Westside.
And for Prep,
see another
like Joe
switch for
Sudbeck's
Prep.
coming in.
Joe Sudbeck, like you mentioned, will come in for Joey Reischel.
Oh, good. Reggie Thomas passed the ball. No, now he's got it back.
CJ Mitchell going to work baseline. Wide open 3, top of the key. That one rings out. Thomas trying to get the rebound. Evans able to keep it in. Now an open fast break. Sudbeck stops his feet. And a little floater. They'll call a foul on the floor.
I got to say, that's a pretty decent defensive possession for Prep. They left Charlie Davis wide open, the 5th leading three-point shooter in Class A at 47%, but he missed it and they got the rebound. That's a possession that they would have liked to have in the first half, but at least they get it now.
Josh Townley, first time we've seen here tonight in the third quarter. I think Creighton Prep here, like
Jackson
you mentioned.
Dasher's in too. They're going deep into the bench already.
Yeah, like you mentioned, with just over a minute and a half left to go in this third quarter, I think Prep is looking for some more moral victories in this one. Townley.
Good pump fake.
Give it off. Jackson Dasher able to get his first 2 points.
Yeah, Dasher has scored 2 of his last 3 games, making 3 of his last 4. He's been kind of a spark off the deep bench for Prep when they've needed it.
Another open 3, CJ Mitchell. That one toilets in. Mitchell with 7. And the rain just keeps on coming.
It's
for
back
Westside,
to 30.
30-point lead.
Good gravy. CJ Mitchell's got 7, and that's about his average. He hasn't even played that well, but he hasn't played that well for himself, but you know, it hasn't mattered. Westside's just been dominating Prep in all facets.
Another missed shot to go out of bounds off a Dasher. For under a minute left to go here in the third quarter. So we want to look forward for these 2 teams. Westside, like we mentioned in the pregame show, has a long list of away games this next month. Next Tuesday, they'll head out to Elkhorn South to take on the Storm. Friday the 28th, they'll head up to most likely another top 10 team in Papio South. Then a tough team in Millard West away just a week after that. Another away game the day after that at Bellevue East. And they come back home for the first time in just about 3 weeks up against Omaha Central. That'll be another big top 5 matchup.
Yeah, it certainly should be. In my opinion, yes, Bellevue West and Millard North are 2 very good teams that could easily win the title. But based on what I've seen in person from those 2 teams, Westside Central could be a potential title preview.
Townley misses the first. So again, I think with the game that we saw here tonight,
yep,
I think we can consistently say there's probably a 4-team race.
Yeah.
Truthfully. And again, you never count on anybody, but as of right now, I think it's truly a top 14 race.
Agreed.
For the state championship. How can Bellevue West and Millard North topple the number 1 team?
Well, I mean, Millard North gave the blueprint when they did beat Westside earlier this year. I think you've got to make sure that you dominate Westside in the post, and you've got to make sure you shoot well.
Chandler Meeks going up to the basket's fouled. He'll go to the line.
That's on Townley.
So with this, I mean, one of the biggest things that I think Prep has lacked this season is the amount of depth ability.
Yes.
I guess having the depth for this group to be able to win big games and adaptability as well is what I was trying to say.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
Do you think in games like this, where you guys have had a lot of back and forth games, there have been too many blowouts this season for the Junior Jays, can games like this for this group help give more guys in depth some more experience?
Well, I don't know. I think these games are good to get guys some extra experience, especially when you consider how closely the atmosphere resembles a playoff game. But really, I don't think the problem for Prep in this game was adaptability. I think the problem was Westside's just a better team, and that's showing up in the scoreboard.
30-point lead with 8 minutes left to go. We'll take a quick break here on WTV Live. Once we come back, a little special guest here tonight. What? Yes, I know.
From overseas, tonight you're witnessing the first appearance of the new Westside Warriors mascot. Come on, let's hear it, let's go live! Let's go Warriors and Jernstrom!
Definitely a big thing wanted for a lot of Westside fans. Before this mascot, Westside had really a blow-up time setup, which was
like a Lil Red?
Essentially.
Oh, boy.
A Little Red, and for football games in August in Nebraska, not the best experience to be in.
Oh, I'd imagine.
And really about 2 years ago, so much duct tape on that thing, sometimes you couldn't even really see the helmet. But a new mascot coming here for Westside. And what a night to be able to do it. If all stays as planned, a blowout win for the Warriors and really solidifying themselves once again to be the best team in the state of Nebraska.
I mean, when I was talking with some other people about Westside being the favorite to win the title, one thing I kept getting was like, yeah, but they wouldn't be last year. I'm not so sure anymore. You put this team back a year, you put them in a time machine, bring them to 2021, I don't know. I'm not sure that they would beat those Hunter Salas and Chucky Hepburn teams, but they definitely could.
Definitely so much talent that has come out of the state of Nebraska in the last 3 or 4 years, from Hunter Salas to Chucky Hepburn to the Fiddlers to Jaden Johnson. To possibly, we'll see where Josiah Dosler and Jason Green can go.
Yeah, speaking of Hepburn, he's already got 3 points against 14th-ranked Michigan State. Wisconsin's playing them right now.
And I'll be honest, I mean, definitely limited experience with only 4 or 5 years with really high school basketball experience, but I really can't think of a time in really Nebraska basketball history that we've seen some guys come out of Nebraska that are really, top 10, top 20 recruits, and we see another one here in Isaac Trout from Grand Island.
Yeah, goodness no. I mean, this is potentially the most talent Nebraska has in any sport that's not women's volleyball, like, in ever. It's just, there's so many guys who are or could play D1 ball. It's incredible.
Jade Advati with another quick 2.
Yeah,
Advati with 25 points tonight. Advati, just a junior, so has another year of eligibility here in high school. Was originally a transfer from Elkhorn South, played his first year at Elkhorn South, then transferred over to play in his sophomore season. Last year was a huge presence, but really was a back and forth between if he would be the main starter or Logan Wilson, especially at the center position. And the majority of the year, he played that position very well until went down for about 2 months with an ankle injury. And I think that was a huge presence to really why Creighton Prep last season was able to dominate Westside so well, because there really was not that many big guys able to rebound.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Advati, too, is his versatility. Like, he's listed as a guard on max preps, and he can definitely shoot from the perimeter as well. So having a guy who can just as easily be a shooting guard as a stretch big is huge for Westside's adaptability, and that's one of the reasons why they're the title favorites.
Meeks will go back to the line. I think in this situation, Simons will keep the majority of the starters in this one for at least the next 3 minutes, and we'll see some other groups come into here. Maybe see some lower end 10th, 11 guys, possibly a little bit of Charlie Bloom, a fan favorite in this crowd.
Yeah, Meeks already was 7 in the second half. He had a pretty slow start to the first half, but he's really picked it up in the second and helped Westside build this huge lead.
Meeks missed the second. Largest lead of the night at 34. One more point, like we mentioned, will go to a running clock for the rest of the night if it stays that way. And I'll admit, I definitely coming into this game, thought Westside had the upper advantage by a lot, but definitely not to this extent.
No, not this much. I mean, I was joking with some friends before the game, like, if I were Vegas, I'd put the spread at 12.5 for Westside. Holy cow, did they ever cover that? They might triple it by the time it's all said and done.
See a change of possession here. They'll call an off-ball foul on number 21, Josh Townley. Looks like he was trying to work on the baseline. And CJ Mitchell will come into the ball game for Chandler Meeks. And for Meeks, that might be his night.
Yep. Now a timeout for Prep. At this point, it might just be Lutke wanting to tell his guys how to finish this game out, because this game is well in hand for Westside, and potentially not only this game, but also the state title. They look like they could dominate anybody.
Want to apologize there. Not actually a timeout. It was a technical foul.
Oh, is that what they called?
It was a technical foul. We thought we were just going to break as Coach Lukey was touching both of his elbows, thinking he was going to go back for a 30-second timeout, but it looks like Lukey's been not happy all night long, and he gets teed up.
Yeah, he's a very emotional coach, but normally that emotion will showcase itself late in close games when the team needs a spark. In this, the emotion's just getting the best of him, and I don't blame him. This is kind of rough to watch as a prep student.
Charlie Davis from the corner. Another big three for Davis. He has 2 on the night. I think 1 through 9, this Westside team can beat just about anybody.
I'm very impressed with the Westside fan section, almost doubling up Prep. Still full to the brim. Nobody's trying to leave, and they're still cheering just as loudly for that last 3 as they were for the first one.
Another turnover. Benning looking to go coast to coast. He rings around and good. And this one, if it wasn't ugly before, it's now ugly for the rest of this one. A running clock.
And to double up, too.
And travel. Eddie Hubner on the travel there. And guess who's into the ballgame? A fan favorite, number 21, Charlie Bloom, is into this game. and Westside fans are ecstatic. And Brendan, if you don't really know the story on Charlie Bloom, Bloom has been a guy that really had a core friend group that came into the Westside program as a group of individuals that really had a dream of being able to play varsity basketball. Definitely not a group of guys that had a lot of opportunity, but try to work their way from freshman B all the way up to varsity. And Charlie Bloom, starting off his career, has played at all levels of this Westside basketball program. And I think for all of the guys, not just Ethan Newmeyer, is a guy I've been talking to a lot with Red Shield about the story of Charlie Bloom. He's really the guy that, made varsity basketball. He's the one who did it for all the guys that couldn't, that weren't able to. And it's really interesting for them as a long pass goes out of bounds. Bloom's got a really interesting story all season long, getting a lot of time when Westside has been up big.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different story, but it reminds me slightly of Tony Tubrick, a guy who graduated last year from Prep. On the broadcast for Prep, we had a thing called Tubrick time where he'd come in when it was about a 10-point game with 5 minutes or so to go, and whenever he hit a three, the gym would get loud. So it's always really nice to see those, especially in blowout games like this, because you really get to see how much the fans truly love the players.
And we'll see another change here for Westside. Just came up for his first game just under a week ago last Saturday. Kevin Brown checks in the ball game for Westside. For Creighton Prep, another big switch. Number 32, Ashton Zabka. Number 35, Mathiang.
And number 45, Owen Chatkowski. He's pretty familiar with Westside. He played him in football, ended up breaking his hand during the football season. This is only his 4th game back.
And coming into the season, talking to Coach Lukey as well as you, Brendan, before this matchup, it hasn't been as much of an effect really these last couple of games, but there's been a lot of guys that have been out with injury and haven't been able to really show off their biggest pointers when they need to.
Yeah, I'd say that's slightly problematic. I'd say another big problem is that Prep kind of switched up their offense mid-season, like I mentioned in pregame a little bit. It became a little less egalitarian and more focused on the 2 main scorers. And I'd say that hasn't been helpful either, but there's really no excuses to be made for this. Westside just came in and played better than Prep for all 32 minutes.
They'll call a foul there.
That's on Benning,
Charlie.
I think, yeah.
Benning and Davis were kind of both going on Chatkowski. They'll call it on Benning like you mentioned, Brendan. And the running clock continues. Mathiang misses while still rumbling around the floor. Townley trying to get to it. So is CJ Mitchell. And they'll call it jump ball. Possession arrow in the favor of the Blue Jays.
I will say that this should frighten everyone else in the Metro, because I'd argue that for the most part over their last couple of games, they've played Bryan, Burke, Omaha South, and La Vista. Westside hasn't even shown us their full capacity. This is their full capacity, and it should terrify anyone who has to play them.
Charlie Bloom is fouled, and he'll go to the line. And most likely as the running clock continues with now 48 seconds left to go.
I mean, he's averaging a point a game, so who knows, he might get another one tonight.
1-on-1 opportunity, he makes the first. And what a way to cap off the night. A blowout win for the Warriors. The Westside's Red Shield has loved every single minute of it.
You'd like to end on a make there, but it's still great to see how the crowd reacted to him.
Westside will head out to Elkhorn South this next Tuesday for their next matchup. It'll be a 14-game winning streak to Chatkowski. Check that. Yeah, Chatkowski, will take the three from the corner. And Westside able to take this one home. The biggest rivalry in the state of Nebraska was lopsided tonight. Westside, a 39-point win And they add to their now 14-game winning streak. And man, I don't think there's anybody else that can put up production like that up against the top 10
No.
team.
And not only the type of production, but the way they did it. Normally, in games like this, when Westside's focused on pushing the pace, the other team's able to keep pace with them at least for a little bit. Like Bellevue West put up 68 on them the game Westside scored 76. Not this game. Westside just dominated both ends from the opening tip to the final buzzer. And this is a well-deserved blowout and a great way for the fans to go into the weekend.
Westside fans waving goodbye to the birdcage. This is everything you could ask for if you're a Westside fan with a game like tonight.
And the rubber match ends the way that you would want it to. Now, barring a matchup in the state tournament, these Westside players and fans will be able to say forever, we had a winning record against Prep in football. We never lost to Prep in football, and we had a winning record against them in basketball. That is an incredible thing to say against your biggest rival.
We'll take a break here on WTV Live. Once we come back, a post-game interview and more for a WTV Live post-game show. Westside a blowout win over their arch rival, Creighton Prep. back here, a final here at Westside High School. Westside 82, Creighton Prep 43. A big night for both Reggie Thomas as well as Tate Advadi. Advadi lead 25 here tonight for the Warriors. Reggie Thomas right behind him at 21, and then mixed around in between Chandler Meeks, the next leading scorer with 9. And real quick, we're going to send it down to Ross Jernstrom with both Thomas as well as Advadi.
Ross Jernstrom down here along the sidelines. Big win for Westside. Tate Advadi led the Warriors with 25 points. Tate, what'd you think about that performance?
It was pretty cool. I mean, obviously we know about the rivalry, and the crowd showed up and were loud, and my teammates, they were finding me when I was open, and I mean, we all balled out.
Yeah, talk about the atmosphere. What was it like out there?
I mean, it was really hot. That's the first thing I noticed when I walked in the gym. It was really hot and humid, so kind of just adjusting and staying hydrated was the key.
Okay. Chandler Meeks is also here, and Chandler, your final game against Creighton Prep here in your home gym. Just kind of tell me what this means.
It meant a lot. Last year they kind of got to us by 26-30. So having a home game as my senior year and being able to get the win like that is something I really can't complain about.
A running clock there in the fourth quarter. I talked to some people from Creighton Prep, and they can't remember the last time Creighton Prep had a running clock in any of their games. Yeah. What does that say about Westside's basketball team?
Just really that we're relentless. That's what we say every time before the game. Really just playing our game. Our defense is not even subpar. Our defense is incredible. And so if they can't score, they can't win. And obviously they couldn't score tonight. We got to run the clock.
Just one last question. The crowd tonight, what can you say about the Westside fans who came out tonight?
Hey, it's Westside and Prep. It's the best rivalry in the state. Can't complain about it.
Okay. All right. There you go, guys. Big win for Westside, 82-43. We'll send it back upstairs to you.
Cannot be a better win. It cannot be two better players. A vet and a guy who you're going to see a lot more in the next couple years, not just for Westside, but throughout the prospect chain. And talking a little bit more about Prep tonight, not able to talk to Coach Lukey after the disappointing loss. Going to send it back down to Tyler Reidy.
All right, thank you guys. Obviously a very difficult night here for Creighton Prep on the road at Westside. Big loss, and it doesn't get any easier going forward for the Junior Jays. They have Bryan at home tomorrow, and that's a 2:30 in the afternoon game, so not much time to recover and rest up after this one. And then after Bryan, 5 of the 8 remaining teams on the schedule are in the NEB Prep's top 10, so going to be very difficult coming up for the Junior Jays. So what do they need to take away from this? Well, they have to try to continue building on their depth. Westside had so much more speed and energy than the Junior Jays tonight because they had a deeper team. They were able to go to their bench, have really a 9-man rotation going versus only about 6 or 7 for the Junior Jays, with Ramachandran out for the season and Martell Evans in foul trouble. So Prep going to have to try and find a way to use some more of those pieces off the bench, get them into some of those tougher games where they're running out of energy with their starters so that they can keep pace with the high-flying teams like Westside, which they will see plenty of down the stretch. Back to you guys.
Prep will look for a lot different of a story here in the back half of the season. And Brendan, I mean, that's definitely after a huge disappointing loss like this. Definitely a lot of things to look at, definitely a lot of things to change. I mean, what Coach Lukey, more than anybody, what are the big takeaways from this game and how can they switch it up going forward?
Well, I was just texting my dad that it didn't even really feel like a basketball game, more so like Prep kind of just getting kicked in the face repeatedly. But I would say that what Lutke has to do is figure out who he can trust and who he can't, because we did mention that in the pregame a lot. You said Westside has 9 guys they can trust. Prep has maybe 6 or 7. They can't afford to trust 6 or 7 guys when they go visit Bellevue West next Saturday, or when Millard North comes to the Hyder Center on Tuesday, February 15th, or when they have to visit Omaha Central to close out the regular season on February 19th. So I would say that really what Lutke has to figure out is, aside from Luke Jungers, Martell Evans, and Joey Riechel, who's going to step up for this team in a big game? Because Evans didn't score, which is not great. He started out the year really, really well, as I mentioned in the pregame, but he has scored 8 points in his last 3 games combined. Rieschel had 11, but 11 is not going to do it when the other team has 2 guys with 20-plus points, and they're winning the game by 25. Jungers had 12, but they were all in the first half. I mean, really, Prep's got to find 2 or 3 more guys who can actually put the ball in the basket. And right now, I don't know where those guys are. Maybe it's Casey O'Malley. Maybe it's P.J. Newbill. He played pretty well. He had 6 points. Maybe Ed Hubner had one of his best games of the season. But at this point, Prep is going to need a lot to get onto Westside's level, because this was not a game between 2 evenly matched teams. This was a superior team imposing their will for 32 minutes.
So looking about that for Westside overall here tonight, I mean, you see a leading scorer in Tate Advati, 2 leading scorers, like we mentioned, just dominated in all facets of the game. Advati's just been consistent all year long from all parts of the field. Has been able to get big shots around the perimeter. Has been able to do things off the glass. And Reidy Thomas, I think, in my personal opinion, is the most aggressive basketball player in the state of Nebraska right now, and it showed here tonight.
He challenged Luke Jungers at the rim multiple times in the first quarter. That was him coming out and setting the tone, and boy, oh boy, did he set one. Reggie Thomas and Tate Advati combined for 46 points. The entire Prep team combined for 43. It was bad.
Definitely not the way you want to show it here tonight.
No, not at all. And, I mean, there were a lot of other guys who chipped in well, too. I mean, after Advati and Thomas, nobody scored in double figures, but, Chandler Meeks had 9, 7 in the second half. You've got C.J. Mitchell ended up with 7. Logan Wilson had 6. Even Charlie Bloom came in and hit a free throw at the end of the game. So Westside, as you mentioned multiple times in the pregame, I didn't necessarily believe you before. I do now. They can literally have anyone at any given time score 15 points on your head.
So with that, I mean, what can teams even see? Like you mentioned, the blueprint, I think, was really Millard North.
Yes.
That first Millard North game, if anybody in Class A is going to take down Westside, one of the biggest takeaways that I got from this team about that game is that team was not ready for that game. Mm-hmm. The entire week of practice beforehand was very sluggish. Nobody really felt consistent in big moments, and really it's been the exact opposite in practice from now on. So, I mean, again, we saw the blueprint for Millard North. Is that exactly what teams are going to have to do to be able to beat Westside, or what can they figure out?
Not exactly that, but something similar. The first thing you're going to need is great shooting. I mentioned it in the pregame, but Millard North shot, I believe, 56% from the field, 40% from 3 in that game. That's really good for an entire team. Like, insanely good shooting. Normally, when a player shoots 50% from the field and 40% from 3, they're like, oh, that's one of the best shooters in Class A or in the NBA or whatever. The team shot that. So you're going to need a great shooting night, first of all. And then second of all, I think you're going to need to dominate the paint. Let me see if I can find what I had about that game. So David Harmon and Nick Dolezal, 2 big men from Millard North, combined for 41 of their 80 points. So Westside, they're very good, but I'd say their biggest weakness is big man. Logan Wilson stands at 6'6". He's a starting center. He's a solid player, but only had 6 points tonight. So I would say that if you're a team like Bellevue West, who has William Kyle III, for example, or, I don't know, maybe if you're Grand Island and you start posting up Isaac Trout, that's the way to beat Westside, is you got to work inside out. You have to make sure that you dominate the post and that you don't let up, because I know this Westside team will not let up. You got to go all out, foot on the gas for all 32 minutes. And then, even then, you might need a little bit of luck. You might need Westside to miss a couple open threes or, a couple uncharacteristic turnovers, because right now Westside is a team, to me, that has barely any weaknesses at all.
So before we end off this one, I want to give you guys at least the answer to tonight's Duncan trivia question. No winners currently, but once again, there was a time when Westside and Prep varsity basketball would play actually at a neutral site. Name that location. You got an idea?
Baxter Arena, maybe? I don't know.
Boys Town.
Really?
These two teams, we don't exactly have quite when from start to finish, but it ended in 1993, 1994 was the first time that it was back between both schools every single year. There were some facility issues with Prep for the majority of years, back and forth before the huge bird cages they'd be able to be built in the Hyder Center. And really, just about all games for, I believe, what I've been told is about 20 years, all the games were played at Boys Town.
Really? Yeah. And how long has Westside had this gym?
This gym has been set up, the main gym has been set up since the beginning of the actual high school, if I'm correct.
Okay.
I know the activity gym has been an add-on, I believe. Cannot be 100% on that. The blue gym as well is also an add-on.
Yeah,
Definitely this place has grown.
I'd say before the Hyder Center, Prep actually had this thing called the Mullen Gym. It was more affectionately known as the Tin Gym by the student body, but that gym is kind of reminiscent of this, but if possible, even smaller. The court's still regulation size, but I remember in our little history room that we have at Prep, there's an article from Dirk Chatlin where it's he was just interviewing somebody on the sidelines, and then a loose ball came in and hit him, and then the player chasing it hit him too. It was cramped, and this game really showed what the Prep Westside rivalry is supposed to be. Maybe not necessarily complete and utter dominance, but you want a packed house. You want tight, confined quarters, and you want the fans being loud for 32 minutes. That's what we got tonight. So, yeah, maybe the results weren't the best for Prep, but, as a fan, personally, I loved this atmosphere. This was great, and I hope, and I know I can't be in the regular season, but I hope to come back here again sometime, maybe for a district game or a state game, because this was incredible.
Great atmosphere and complete and utter dominance. I think that was the story of tonight for the Warriors. 82-43 was the final. Jaden Taylor alongside Brandon Preisman tonight. For the entire WTV Live crew, thank you so much for choosing this, the best place to watch everything Westside Athletics. We will be back next Wednesday for a triangular for wrestling. The Westside team will go up against both Papio South as well as Omaha Northwest. Myself as well as Ross Jernstrom will have all that matchup on this Wednesday. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Dingmans.com. It's a big moment with a lot of emotions when you hand the keys over to a new driver. We want you to buckle up, slow down, and please no texting while driving. Our family cares about your family, and your safety is our #1 priority. At Dingmans, we'd rather be the best than apologize for anything less. Visit us at one of our